You may be damaging your own reputation without even realizing it. There are customs that seem small and harmless, almost invisible, but little by little they weaken the respect others feel for you. And the most disturbing thing is that you may be repeating these behaviors every day without realizing how many problems they are causing in your life, both personally and professionally. Today, I want to share with you 4 bad habits that can silently affect the way you are perceived. If you want to be taken seriously, respected, and remembered positively, it's very important that you identify and eliminate each of these habits. Before we begin, I want to say a special thank you. The Stoicismo Todo Dia channel exists only because of you. Every comment, every like, every video you share is a true motivation for us to continue creating this content with even more care and determination. Seeing this community grow, evolve, and change is what inspires us most. Therefore, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining us on this journey of self-discovery and daily growth. When respect disappears, it almost never happens by chance. It happens due to small attitudes or omissions that accumulate over time and quietly cause damage. And there's a philosophy that helps us perceive these behavioral patterns more clearly: Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor and great thinker, wrote about it. And Seneca, another wise man from antiquity, said that the greatest sign of wisdom is the ability to honestly observe oneself. And that's exactly what we're going to do now. Let's look inside ourselves, without wearing masks, without making excuses. Let's identify 4 habits that may seem insignificant, but are powerful enough to affect how we are perceived. And what's worse, they can destroy our self-confidence. I've made all these mistakes throughout my life. I didn't notice real changes until I decided to apply the teachings of the Stoic sages to my daily life. From then on, I had more respect for people, more balance in my relationships, and much more clarity in my actions. So, if you're ready to think about it, settle in where you are, grab a glass of water or a cup of tea and settle in. Because what comes next may cause a little discomfort, but it may also free you from things that aren't good for you. Habit number 1. Talking badly about others is a silent poison for relationships. The first behavior that destroys the respect people feel for you is perhaps the most common and yet the most ignored: talking about other people's lives. Yes, it seems like a simple thing, almost a game or a distraction during routine. Sometimes it even seems to bring people closer together. But here's a very important truth: those who talk to you about others are likely talking to others about you. When you engage in this kind of conversation, you ultimately send a bad and dangerous message, even if you don't mean any harm. I'm not trustworthy. I don't know how to keep a secret. I enjoy seeing others make mistakes. I remember a time in my life, when I was still in college, when this habit was very common. The conversations almost always revolved around other people's lives. It was fun for the group. People would comment on who was dating whom, joke about other people's choices, and make up stories about situations they themselves didn't know much about. A colleague we'll call Carla was quieter and more reserved. One day, someone found out that she liked a boy in our class. Within a short time, this secret spread and became the butt of numerous jokes. Carla became very sad and gradually stopped speaking to the group. She completely shut herself off. The way she walked away without saying anything left a deep impression on everyone who saw it. In that moment, I understood something very important. Talking about other people's lives is never just gossip. It always hurts someone. This was already taught by the Stoic sages, especially Epictetus. They said, "What is not your business, do not speak of it. Do not listen to it. Do not repeat it." When you speak ill of someone, you not only humiliate the other person, but also yourself. And even if no one says anything, everyone around you notices. You may be thinking, if this person talks about so-and-so, is he talking about me too? Being a respected person starts with a very important decision that must be made every day, not to spread things that don't help anyone. Instead, have conversations that are good for you, that inspire you, that are about ideas, dreams, and learning, not about other people's failures or secrets. There's an old saying that goes like this: people with small minds talk about other people. People with average minds talk about events, and people with big minds talk about ideas. You can choose each day which of these minds you want to belong to. Now let's move on to the second habit, being someone people can't trust. This habit often undermines the respect others have for you faster than any other. These days, many people make promises, but few actually keep them. We say we'll help, we'll be there, we'll change a certain attitude, but when the time comes, excuses arise, other things seem to work, or we simply remain silent. Here's an important truth. When your word loses value, you lose value too. There was a time in my life when I believed it was good to be flexible and spontaneous. I would make plans and then cancel them later without giving it much thought. He said with great certainty, "You can count on me, I'll be there." But on the appointed day, I decided to do something else. Until one day something happened that made me realize how much this can hurt those who trust us. A good friend, whom we'll call Juliana, prepared her birthday party with great care. She thought of every detail. She created the guest list, selected the decorations, and organized several surprises. And of course I said I would go, and that I definitely wouldn't miss the party. But that day, I was busy with another activity. By the time I realized it, the party had already started. I hastily sent her a message and tried to explain. The response I received was polite but distant. In that moment, I sensed something very important. I hadn't just missed a party. I had lost some of the trust she had in me. After that, our friendship cooled. She understood quite correctly that my words weren't as valuable as I'd thought. Stoic philosophers believed that keeping one's word was one of the most important aspects of being a virtuous person. Seneca wrote something very wise. Nothing is more valuable than the commitment of an upright person. This means that your word is like a contract that you must always keep. Being someone others can trust isn't achieved through fancy promises or emotionally charged phrases. It's built through small actions that are consistently carried out. For example, showing up on time, responding as promised, meeting deadlines, and being honest about what you can and can't do. And most importantly, be honest with yourself. If you know you can't do it, don't promise. And if something unexpected happens, please announce it respectfully and in a timely manner. People don't expect you to be perfect, but they do expect consistency from you, meaning that your actions match your words. At work, for example, it can be very difficult to be someone you can't trust. You may be a very talented, intelligent, and even very kind person. However, if you don't keep your promises, you'll gradually miss out on more important opportunities. The respect others have for you is ultimately based on the trust they have in you. Confidence grows when you repeat correct actions, even in the smallest detail. Now let's talk about the third habit, interrupting people when their fear gets the better of them. Often, the loss of respect from others isn't due to major mistakes, but rather to small gestures we repeat without realizing it. One of the most silent and damaging behaviors is interrupting someone while they're speaking. It may seem insignificant, because who hasn't done that? Sometimes we feel like we're just participating in the conversation, helping or contributing. But an interruption carries more weight than it seems, because even without meaning to, you are sending a hidden message. What I have to say is more important than what you are saying now. And if this message is repeated often, over time, the respect people have for you will diminish. At the beginning of my career, I was exactly like that, full of energy, full of ideas, and eager to show that I was useful. In meetings, I could hardly wait for the other person to finish their sentence. If I disagreed, I would stop immediately. If I had a suggestion, I would say it immediately. When he thought he could compliment the other person, he interrupted them. Until one day my manager called to talk to me. She spoke calmly but firmly. He said something I've never forgotten. "You're always ready to talk, but rarely ready to listen." Those words hit me hard because she was right. I wasn't really listening. I was just waiting for my turn to speak. There's a name for this. It's when beneath the enthusiasm, a little selfishness lurks without you realizing it. But there's a catch. If you've been trying to break out of conformity and ignorance for a while and haven't been able to, it may be for other reasons and you don't know what. But I know what it is. It's fear. Fear comes like a silent snake and poisons you without you realizing it. This leaves you infected for days, months, or even years. And if you had that, it would be like living sick. However, there is a Stoic antidote that, along with modern psychology, can free you from all of this, just as it freed me. I made a video showing how to get rid of this poison from your life. It's in the first comment. Click the link in the first comment and heal yourself of this fear poison. Stoic philosophers believed that the ability to listen was one of the greatest proofs of wisdom. Epictetus, who began his life as a slave and later became one of history's greatest philosophers, taught that we have 2 ears and only 1 mouth for a reason: to listen more and speak less. After that conversation with my manager, I decided to make a change. I began practicing what I call Stoic listening. When I felt the overwhelming urge to interrupt, I took a deep breath and asked myself, does this need to be said now? Or can I humbly wait and listen until the end? This simple change in my attitude completely transformed the way people see me. I became a person who commands more respect, more trust, and more balance, because truly listening is a sign of strength, not weakness. If you want to earn respect, start by consciously remaining silent. By listening attentively, you show the other person that you value them and that what they have to say is important to you too. Attentive listening is a gift you give others. Let the person finish speaking. When you learn to listen with presence and calmness, you not only understand better, but you also create stronger bonds and gain something very valuable: consideration, that is, when others feel that you truly care about them. Now let's move on to the 4th habit: complaining too much. When negativity becomes a part of your personality. We've all complained at some point. About the traffic, the teacher, the rain, or the heat. Complaining seems like a way to vent our grief, as if it were an outlet that might even provide relief. But when complaining becomes routine, it no longer provides relief and begins to weigh us down. The most complicated part is that this burden doesn't just stay with you, it spreads. When you constantly complain, your environment changes. People start to turn away without always understanding why. And that's not because you're a bad person, it's because it's exhausting and takes away the joy of being with someone who just talks about what's wrong without trying to change. I was there. There was a time when everything annoyed me. If it rained, I complained. If the day was hot, I complained too. If someone made a mistake in my work, I brooded over it for days. Until a friend said to me with great sincerity and courage, "It seems like nothing ever goes right for you. Have you noticed that?" At the time, I got angry and tried to defend myself, but those words echoed in my head for many days, and they hurt because they were true. I had become accustomed to living like a victim and always blaming others. The problem with living like that is that, in the end, you're no longer the protagonist of your own story. Stoic philosophers teach something very important. There's no point in complaining about reality. What you can do is change what's within your control and calmly accept what you can't change. This is the essence of Stoicism. For example, the rain won't stop just because you complain. Traffic won't move faster just because you're angry in the car. But your attitude can change everything. When I started observing myself more and replacing complaints with action or acceptance, everything changed. If the environment was bad, I would leave. When something went wrong, I tried to learn from the situation. When there was nothing to do, I took a deep breath and carried on. This didn't make me naive or someone who pretends everything is always fine. I simply felt lighter. And the best thing is that the people around me noticed this change, wondering if you're caught in this vicious cycle of complaining. Consider whether you talk more about problems or solutions. Do your conversations energize you, or do they tire you? Are you usually grateful for things, or do you automatically complain without thinking? Our mind works like radar. It finds what you teach it to look for. If you have a negative attitude, the world will seem like a place full of confusion and sadness. But if you learn to appreciate the good and act accordingly whenever possible, life becomes easier and happier. When you learn to look at things positively, you'll begin to see opportunities where you previously saw only difficulties. Respect also comes from the way you present yourself to the world. No one respects someone who's always complaining and sad. So, Starting today, whenever you feel the need to complain, ask yourself, am I in control? If so, do something to change it. If not, accept it and move on in peace. Asking this simple question with willpower can free your thoughts and energy. If you've read this far, congratulations. This shows that you truly want to do what's most difficult. Look within yourself. Because to gain the respect of others, you have to do something even more important. Respect yourself. Today we're talking about 4 habits that, without us realizing it, are destroying the way others see us. Gossiping makes people lose trust in you. If you're untrustworthy, your word loses its value. Interrupting others shows that you're impatient and only think about yourself. Complaining too much will turn people off and put you in a bad frame of mind. The good news is that all these bad habits can be replaced with better things. Discipline, attentive listening, honesty, and conscientious action. Marcus Aurelius said the best revenge is to distinguish yourself from those who do evil. I would say the best way to gain respect is to stand out from the crowd. Be someone who exudes confidence, calm, and presence. And if you change one habit at a time every day, you'll see a powerful, albeit slow, shift in the way the world responds to you. Now tell me, which of these 4 habits do you notice most about yourself? Write the phrase, "I choose to earn respect" in the comments and say which habit you'd like to change first. This will help you remember what you've learned and also contribute to the continued growth of this community. If this video helped you, please like it, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to the Stoicismo Todo Dia channel. Here, philosophy isn't just talk, but practice for real life. See you in the next video. Until then, remember, you are responsible for the energy you put out into the world. Take only what helps and leave the rest behind.